Good afternoon. My name is Maria Jose Maguire, and an assistant professor of Spanish at Flagler College. And today I'm going to be co-presenting with my colleague, Eugenia Charoni, who teaches French and Spanish, and Juliet Frey, her student in French. The topic of our presentation is making digital humanities tool part of the language class. So, since the pandemic in 2020, we all had to make the transition to online learning rather quickly. For many of us, we were not ready to get started into our online classes, so it required preparation to transfer our work from face-to-face to online. The Global Sustainable Technology and Innovation Community said that 1.6 billion students in 194 countries were impacted by school closures. And this impacted, of course, all of us. And also imagine the parents having to, for teachers that are, parents in K to 12. And for us in higher ed, many of us that have been teaching face-to-face or had some knowledge on online learning had to prepare to make that transition to online learning. And one of the things that happened was that with the learning of making the change to online learning, many tools came available to us because we were able to find them that they were free of charge for us to use, and they were readily available, and some of us had used them before. So this was a good opportunity to start using them. I'm sure that some of these are familiar to you, or if it's not one of these, I'm sure you know many others that are very useful. Kahoot, VoiceThread, Padlet, Flipgrid, Schoology, and the ones that we're going to be hearing about today, Story Maps and Social Books. When thinking of technology, using technology tools, I decided to use only two specific tools in my classes. The reason was because when I was doing this, I wanted to make sure that I could help the students if we had too many technologies. I didn't want to overwhelm them with too many technologies to use, but I thought two would work really well. And using Padlet, it was one of the technologies that I chose to use, and it worked really well in my classroom. It created, it was creativity, collaborations, students were interacting with one another, and I gave them an activity, and this is just an example where they had to find a Spanish word, and they had to create content based on the words that they chose, and also match it with a picture. And that was part of the project. So that was part one. Part two, they had to come back, after a week and a half, come back when everybody had already posted, and give comments to 3 other students in the class. And the activity worked really well. Students, as you can see, got very creative with their photos. And in the follow-up, they had many comments. All students had at least 3 comments from classmates. And of course, they were doing it in the target language. And it really helped to build that sense of community, online community learning. And of course, that came with some aspects of technology that we expect to have when we are teaching, which is new technology. There might be some frustration because there are things that may or may not work. That happens to us as well as it happens to the students. And I wrote down some of the comments that I would hear throughout the semester. And perhaps you might also be familiar with some of these comments, because I spent some time answering emails to this. My screen is not showing the content. professor, is not letting me in. My computer froze and I lost all my work. Where do I find the link? Or it didn't save. And this was expected. This is, when using new technology, we know that these kind of frustrations might come up, and unexpected things that perhaps we didn't think that could happen, but our students are letting us know. Now, that is it is part of the process. Students are used to technology, but in a different context. They're more social content. When they use Instagram, they use Twitter, Facebook, etc. But assuming that they know all different technologies, it's not necessarily true. So when we are teaching, helping them through the process on how to get to the technology, it's important, because once they get over that hurdle, they are able to utilize the technology over and over again for the rest of the semester. Also, as we are getting to teach online, the infrastructure for some institutions might be more developed than other institutions. And I think that's going to be a process depending on where you are, right? Funding might be one of the things to consider. And professional development, it's also something that we'll see more and more. And for example, today, being able to present about technology tools that work really well in the classroom is part of that process of online learning that we are going to be seeing more and more and more, even after we go back to face-to-face class. And of course, keeping up with changes. There's this quote that I thought it was very telling, that he said, the more we fail with technology, the more we learn from it. This can only be accomplished by trying, even if that attempt requires training. Teachers must take the first step and use technology, knowing fully that it will most likely go wrong. It is expected. We know that there might be some aspects of the technology, there might be some frustration, but the benefits outweigh the frustrations, right? Because we know that it can really enhance the classroom, build a community of online learning, and students are able to practice the language, which we want them to continue to do outside of class. So this is something that I know we're going to continue, it's not going to go away. Some of the benefits, it improves cultural and global awareness. You can bring the world to your classroom. I can bring in colleagues that are, in other states, people from other countries, to come and do presentations, online presentations in the classroom. It also enables students to find new answers. If I give them an activity to find something perhaps about a holiday, they're able to do so, and put all that content in an online platform where we're all able to see it and discuss it. Encourage individual learning, especially with some students that maybe don't tend to be as vocal in the classroom. The online learning is a good way for the students to shine and feel part of that community. And as well as build an online community outside the classroom. When we go back to face-to-face, we are going to continue teaching on or using technology. And this is an outlet for the language to continue outside the classroom. When we build these activities, right, using this technology that allow our students to practice the language skills that they use. And of course, always keeping in mind that we need to protect our students, and with the Family and Educational Rights and Privacy Act, as well as with the Americans with Disability Act, so that learning becomes approachable to everyone. Everyone can go online and be able to complete the work that they are doing. Something that I decided to add to our presentation, and I'm not going to go into it, but I do think that online proctoring is also going to be something that we will hear more about as we start looking at all the components that we're using in the online classroom. This article is e-proctor exams during the COVID-19 pandemic, a close understanding. it was a good article because it talks about some of the components, right, that from the students' perspectives, right? Were they prepared technologically with online exams? What were the concerns that the students had while using e-proctoring? If students feel that we need to use this e-proctoring tool, if it's an important aspect for academic integrity. And this is something that I feel that we'll get to hear more in terms of how do we assess students, because assessment, it will always be an important component of our teaching. And then, of course, continuing to use best practices in teaching, which is what we're going to be seeing today, the two technologies that have worked well in the language classroom for Dr. Charoni. And evaluating those apps, those technologies that we are using. What I have here is something that I created for myself. It's an online course evaluation, because every time I'm teaching an online class, I created a checklist that it quickly allows me to make sure that I have everything that I need for my online class. And then I go back and I can concentrate as well on the content that I'm putting in there, right? So it's creating the platform, but also what we're focusing on is making sure that the assignments that we have are appropriate, right? So when we're doing best practices, making sure that we create assignments that are scaffolded, for example, that will lead to an outcome where we can measure the students' learning. So online courses, evaluation is important because it tells us what works and what doesn't work in our classroom. And today what we have is the story map and social book that, my colleague Eugenia, Charoni, and Juliet Frey will talk about, their process of using this technology in the class. Thank you. And now I'm going to pass it over to Eugenia Charoni. Thank you.
I need to unmute myself. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Yes, I'm going to take over now and talk about my personal experience applying some digital tools in my own classroom. It was before the pandemic, so I did not know that all my efforts would be cut short because of the pandemic. Let me start sharing actually my my presentation here, a few things, so I can share with you some slides. So when I became familiar when I started thinking about how I can incorporate digital humanities tools inside my classroom, it was before the pandemic. The problem became for me not the pandemic per se, but how and what I could choose from everything that was out there, and how I would prepare my classes in a way that I would not interrupt the course flow, and I would not overwhelm the students. So I'm here today, as I say here, why this webinar, to share this experience with these two digital tools, a social book and story maps in two of my French courses that I taught last spring 2020. And my idea was pretty basic, because as a language professor, I want the students to be involved and engaged any way possible, and use, of course, interactive activities, bring them inside the classroom and have the students being actual participants there in a way that they can feel comfortable and also use the language. So having that in mind, and after I did some research, I felt, I would say, somehow overwhelmed, because of course technology, as Professor Maguire said, is very significant and very helpful, but sometimes is very challenging as well. There is so much out there. In addition, if there is not that much training or resources, the resources are limited, or in our case, or in my case, if the curriculum needs to follow a certain path, a certain traditional approach, then where do you fit the traditional tools in addition to what the students have to learn? Thinking about this, and again, always with the objective to foster a learning environment with interaction and not overwhelming my students, I decided to go with a social book that I'm going to share with you how I incorporated it in my French French 2 class last year, and also the story maps a tool that my student Juliet Frey is going to explain to you in a bit. That both classes, again, this experience is from the last spring semester 2020. So the social book for, actually I will share first the assignment that I put in the syllabus. And as you see, I was very careful about the percentage. I only gave 5%. Because it was my first time ever incorporating that in the classroom. So I did not know how the students would react and how myself I would be able to navigate through this platform. So that was exactly the text that it was posted in my syllabus, and to my surprise, it went wonderfully. By clicking on these two links here, the students were able to just join what we call platform, social book, and start working with it. Now, what they had to do, the students literally in my 202 class have to read some basic French literature. So only I applied this one in one of the books, which is wide renowned, right? Le Petit Prince, the Little Prince. And I asked them each time to, before the class would meet, to write comments. I don't remember how many each one, at least 5 or 6 or 7, it did not matter. But comments, post questions, underline vocabulary, find expressions that they were not clear to them, find parts that they were very important for the story, etc., etc. So they became very involved into that, and everything was happening before the class would meet. So here is one of the links that the students had to access. Actually, there is exactly what it looks like after the students had joined. As you see here, well, it was not a small class, but the students had joined my group. As you see, I have created a group here. And if I wanted to add another student, or you in this case, I should simply copy and paste this link here and send it to you, and you will be able to be another reader in the group. So what?
Eugenia, we can only see the PowerPoint.
We cannot see. Okay, then I should share. Okay, that's good to know. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Great, thank you very much. Yeah, because it was not easy for me to put all this on the PowerPoint. Better to have the actual links. So this is how the social book looks like. The students can go. Actually, here is the page. Let me minimize this. So as you see down here, there is 0, 5, 6, etc. All this applies to the pages, and now they are going to show up. And or from down here, you can click and go to the next page or to the previous page. So students and myself involved, in this case, this specific student has underlined this part and has put a comment there that later we discussed in class. So by eliminating from these parts up here, comments only, you can see just the comments. You can see comments and underlines, because when you are inside the text and you start working on the text, you imagine like a book, actually, that you underline it or you put notes in the side. You can add a note here, you type it, and then you save it or you post it, or you simply cancel it, or you simply here, you click again and you underline it. And then you make it public, meaning for the group that is going to read it with you later. So that was the work that we were doing. So the students had every day to submit their impressions, as I said, vocabulary, questions on the tab. And actually, I had allowed them inside the classroom to have access to this one while we were again reading the text. So they would find additional comments and they would post them on the spot. And that had increased so much their participation, their excitement. They really loved it. It was so easy to navigate and so much fun after all. For me now, as a professor, right, who tried to work with this, and I'm going to share now the other page. I figured out on myself, right, how I can do all this. I was very happy because it was a very easy tool to, after all, navigate. So in this initial page, the social book, for any one of you who would like to try it, explains what it is. It is a new publishing platform where you add comments. And here it gives us instructions that I also gave to the students for how they can create an account in the usual way and join my account, the professor's account. And here it explains how you can make comments while you are inside the book that I already showed you. So it is very self-explanatory. Now, for me as a professor, I was able to, let me go back to this. So I was able to do some little more work while I was trying to create my library, because you have to create a library and upload some books. So my difficult part, which I did not know, is when I arrived here, when I created my account and it says my library, okay, now let's upload a book. And I was thinking, how do I upload this book? Okay, I clicked upload and I started uploading a PDF, I think, whatever I had found through an online resource for the Little Prince text. Well, no, it was not working. So I read here epub 2. And of course, I got lucky because the book here, the social book, was explaining again what, let me share again. I go back and forth, I'm sorry, but again, once you see this, you see it will be very, very easy. So I was trying to figure out what is that epub and how I can change. No, I can change, yeah, the PDF that I had or a Word document in an epub. So here they give you a tutorial for how to do so, or how to create EPUB files with pages and links to different EPUB creation tools. And of course, how to upload documents. That goes back to the idea of first transforming whatever document you have in an EPUB format and then go from there. Again, I don't know what you are seeing. I think you are seeing still the website, but
we're seeing the PowerPoint now.
The PowerPoint now, exactly, yes. Because where is that? Let me see. Yeah, because I put also some another website here that I found in addition to what the social book gives. So EPUB is an electronic document viewer for some of us who are not familiar with this format that can display digital. And in the ebook, we need to have this format, so we upload it, and students and ourselves included can work. So to show you how you can do that, again, I need to change. Too many clicks, but I mean, that's the idea, right, of using digital tools. So this is the website that I used, and how you can convert a normal text in an EPUB, right, format, so you can upload it later to the social book. So you simply select the file, you follow here the instructions, you find the text. It could be, I don't know, any text here. I could check. Any text, it doesn't matter. This one, let's see the PDF. And it's going to convert it. And you go to ebook here and you choose EPUB. And you click convert and waiting. And this is going to eventually become what we look for. And once you have it done, right, then I will show you the social book page again. Once you are done with the new format, you simply click upload and you upload it here. Now, the other part of the ebook, it is that you can also share, not share, but get books that other professors have posted there from the Commons community. When you go here, you see there is a big number here, almost 600 of them. So you simply say you read now, and you immediately become a member of that group, and that book is added to your library since you have the account. So I have added this one, and let's say that this was a new book that I wanted to share with my students. So what I should do is, let me go back, is to new group, type here new book, right? Enter my email address, and that immediately would create a code, right? I would create the book here, and then it would create the code that has already my class, the French class had already used to access my second book here. So in my case here, I'm not going to create a new group, but if I want to read now, again, it's going to allow me to open the book just as I did before with Le Petit Prince and start here, underline, adding notes, etc. So whoever is online or has posted comments there immediately can see mine, or I can see theirs, and we can discuss, again, given the circumstances. So I think it is pretty much easy to navigate and work around this tool. And as I said, it was very helpful for me because I felt very accomplished since it was my first time incorporating something like this in the classroom, and the students were very, very happy. Before I say a few things about also the students' comments, I would like to tell you that my student Juliet is going to talk about the story map project that I incorporated in my 102 French class, again, last spring. And in that one, the outcome based on the comments I received, it was not that positive because I was the victim of, we were all the victims of the pandemic. So the students and myself, we did not have time per se inside the classroom to walk through for how to set up an account, for how to navigate this story map tool and help them from there. So it was not that easy for most of the students as it was the social book, but based on what I can tell, it was very productive, and students did a wonderful job with their projects. Just for your information, the project was to put together, to do some research about the topic of the French-speaking world. Here I gave them some ideas. And all these, and this topic to do some research, as I said, and present it through a story map. And later, if the pandemic was not with us, they would have to share this story map in class and also talk at least for 3 minutes, because it was a big class, we did not have that much time, and share, of course, their project in class. Because of the pandemic, I had to post additional, let me show you the last thing that I want to show you, additional comments on the language learning management system here, the LMS, the Canvas. And I had put here, I don't remember when I posted that, but I said, contact me as soon as possible if you have questions, because I was receiving frantic emails. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And it is that I tried to meet them all in the classroom. I mean, virtually, but that is the last comment I want here to share with you as a conclusion, because I was planning on having an informative session online while in class for the story maps. So everybody would be with their computer there and they would follow the steps, how to do this, how to do that, but this did not happen. So when I had eventually the online session, some students were not able to attend for practical reasons. So I did post instructions more on Canvas plus that message that you just saw. Overall, the evaluations were positive, but some of them, and I was very sad when I saw that, they said, why did she still have this project on this pandemic? It was a necessary, frustrating work. So I learned from that that I do need extra time each time I do something new in my classroom and lesson learned. That's why I put here as a conclusion that I will use this same tool in a newly developed class that comes in JTerm 2022 that also was canceled previously. And in that session, I have dedicated a whole workshop to for the students to walk through the whole platform. So as I shared previously, and that's my last comment, for the French 202 class, the social book was marvelously done and everybody was very happy with this. And as you saw a few examples, students used the target language and they were very, very well engaged, and everybody got their 5% there of their grade. So yeah, that was my experience. I would say that overall it was a very positive one, and I feel very proud of myself. And the more I go out there and I read, the more I find more tools. But now I will pass to Juliet, my French student, who can talk with her own words and her experience, how she experienced these maps, the digital maps. So Juliet, are you ready to go?
Yes, thank you. Okay, hello. Yes, as Dr. Charoni explained, I'm gonna show you my project for the story maps, and I'm gonna explain to you a little bit how it worked and how did I feel creating the project and everything. So maybe I can share also my screen and show you my project here. I think, wait, I'm gonna do like this, and then let's see. Where do I have it? Here, perfect. So yeah, this presentation is the result of a class assignment, as Dr. Charoni explained, in which the French-speaking world and presented in a story map. And my research focuses on the origins of the French gastronomy and the relation to the French culture, society, and economy. So before starting, I'm gonna explain a little bit about what was my presentation. So in France, numerous restaurants serve food, and for a few hours around noon and after 6 p.m., there's like this sacred time to enjoy food, to share this time with friends, to gather, to interact, and to have fun. And French gastronomy is the motor behind the increased interest in culinary tourism, a type of food exploration that takes place while visiting the country, and is a strong component of the economy of France as well. So having this in mind while creating my story map, I was thinking about making like a French menu with starter and aperitif and dessert and everything, and also having this idea of culinary tourism and having a story map, doing kind of like a route around France with each typical plate and dish, and like following, for example, if there's a typical dish that's from Burdeos, then showing a map of Burdeos and making like a little route. So this is my story map. I started with the aperitif, posted some pictures, explained it, everything in French. So then the menu per regions, for example, they started in Nice, then I had this map where I explained a little bit about the city, about the culture, the food. Then I had the explaining the dish, the ingredients, how it's elaborated. And as you see here, you kind of keep changing places, and then next dish is in Bourgogne, etc., like this. I explain a little bit about the surroundings, the environment. I figured out that cheese is really important also in like French gastronomy. So I thought this feature of the story maps, where you have this map of different of France, and if you click here, it, well, I don't know now why it's not working, maybe because I'm showing my screen, sharing my screen, but if you clicked, it will take you, for example, here, this region, Lille, and like Comté, French Comté, it explains you like the typical cheese from each region, and so on. And let's see, yeah, and then the dessert, and yeah, I had a little explanation about each dish. So as you could see, I incorporated images, I incorporated text, I incorporated maps. You can also incorporate videos, web links, audios. I didn't do that, but you could also do that if you would like to. Personally, I thought it was a great way of learning a new subject and getting introduced to a new subject, since it was really creative and imaginative. I really liked it, and I enjoyed creating this map. And I think it makes the process of learning more fun and entertaining, and also more like interactive, since you need to create something instead of just studying it. And also I thought it was really, really nice that I could show this to some other people, maybe some other students, or I don't know, I felt really proud of my project, so I showed it to my parents or anything. So that's also something really nice about the project. The itself, it's really intuitive. I don't think it's too complicated. It's just a matter of trial and error. I feel like just trying to see how everything works. Like, it's just trying it and using it, and then you will figure out how it works. Trying to post a picture, trying to post a text, see which kind of formats they give you, what can you post. It's just, I don't know, just like playing around a little bit with the platform. However, if I had to complain about anything, I would say maybe it's a little bit time consuming, at least the first time that you use it, since you need to try kind of every feature to know how it works and what you can incorporate and whatnot. So it took me more time than I expected. Maybe if one other project, because I already know how it works, it will be less time consuming. And another complaint would be maybe that you are really restricted to using the features that it gives you. So it kind of already has a structure, the story map, as you can see. For example, it goes vertical, it goes from up to down, and like the formatting is really specific, so you have to stick to what features the platform gives you. But on the other hand, I also think that could be an advantage, since it makes the process maybe easier. Like, it simplifies your work. You don't have to think so much. If it already tells you where to post the pictures and where to write, that it's also kind of easier for you as a student to create the page. And that's it. I think my conclusion for me is I really, really enjoyed it. It's a really creative way of learning. And I'm really proud of my project, and my parents are cooks, so I showed it to them. I was really excited. And I mean, anybody can learn from it, anybody can read it, anybody can interact from it. And not only for me, the creator, also for anyone else who is reading it. I also think that's kind of entertaining, since you have so many pictures and maps and I don't know, and things, and you scroll down. I don't know, it's not just like reading a book. So that's it. Thank you. Let's see how I stop sharing.